What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with reactions to the classics, and today another Harry Nilsson reaction. This time, son of Schmilsson, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter, patron of the channel, all-around great guy, Carl. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below or the Patreon link on the end screen. We couldn't make this happen without the patrons. All right. I did, of course, Nilsson Schmilsson last month at the time of this film. So we're just following up on that. A little info on this album. It was Harry's 8th studio album, released in July of 1972. 12 in the US, 13 in Australia. Nilsson was being pressured to produce a follow-up similar to his 1971 breakthrough Nilsson Schmilsson, but instead he created a more eccentric work. The album was produced by Richard Perry and features musical contributions from the former Beatles, Ringo Starr and George Harrison. Other musicians on the recording include Nicky Hopkins, Klaus Voormans, Bobby Keys, and Peter Frampton. That's quite a lineup, boys and girls. Most of the sessions were extensively filmed at the request of Harry. The footage was to be used for a planned documentary titled, Did Somebody Drop His Mouse? But the film was never released. The album cover features a photograph of Nilsson dressed as a Dracula-like vampire, taken by Michael Pootland at George Harrison's home, Friar Park. All tracks, of course, are written by Harry, except where noted. The music will not be in the video, but it will be at a Vimeo link below. Follow along with us. All right, we go to the album opener, Take 54. Unlike Nilsson Schmilsson, there is not a lot of research out here on this. So I'm not going to have a ton of stuff for you guys from here on in on research, but Harry's a great songwriter, right? So it can speak for itself. I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Carl. All right, Take 54. A bold song to start out with. I actually liked it. It's very catchy. The Bobby Keys saxophone on there was fantastic. We had some trumpet from Klaus Voormans and Jim Price on there. Ringo was on the drums here, the Nicky Hopkins piano. You just know it when you hear it. Like, you know it's Nicky. But, you know, like this girl walks in the studio and just that pre-chorus, I sang my balls off for you, baby. I worked my fingers to the bone. I closed my eyes to get the high note. When I woke up, I was alone. And that little part at the end, right? The musical effects and stuff, or the effects of Son of Schmilsson and the snoring and Harry's talking. I thought it was pretty cool. It was like the last 45 seconds of the song. So good way to start this album. Definitely different than Nilsson Schmilsson. Well, I'm filming this in the middle of August in Texas. It's going to be 107 today, but we've got up Remember in parentheses Christmas. I'm ready for Christmas to get here, man. It's hard to get in that mood right now with the weather out there, but let's check it out. Well, Remember in parentheses Christmas, although the word Christmas is never in here, but it couldn't be any different than Take 54, the first track, right? It's just piano, and you've got Nicky on the piano, but you got Harry on the electric piano, which is what I think you hear in there a lot. And a bouzouki solo. I don't even know what that is. I didn't look it up. I didn't cheat and act like I did. Just a really good song talking about remember, you know, times might not be great now, but remember back in this, and this. And the older I get, I wonder that sometimes. I don't sit here and ponder it or anything, but you know, my best memories behind me, I mean, they might be, you know, your kids grow up, just all these different things. But you know what, at least I have those memories. But hopefully there's even better memories to come. But a really good song. It shows the diversity of Harry, these two first tracks. Next up, we have Joy. So a little shout out to the next song, Turn On Your Radio, at the very end there. So this is where we're going to get into the eccentric side of this album that I was talking about at the start. It's really just a spoken word, and then he gets it. It's very country driven. You've got a slide guitar on here by Red Rhodes. This one does have Frampton on the electric guitar. Just an interesting, you know, it's just kind of funny. Like, it's not going to be one of my favorites, but it is interesting as to how different. I mean, I don't know if these first three songs could possibly be any different, but, you know, we met this girl named Joy. She said, Roy, I'm going to make you my joy boy. All these things in the chorus of Joy to the World was a beautiful girl to me. And he goes on this, and if you haven't got an answer, then you haven't got a question. If you never had a question, then you've never had a problem. But if you've never had a problem, well, everyone will be happy. But if everyone's happy, there'll never be a love song. That's some great writing right there. And so he just kind of finishes it off again with a little shout out to Joy. I already mentioned it. We had a shout out to this song at the very end of it. Turn On Your Radio. Turn On Your Radio. We shifted back to just Harry giving a really good vocal performance here. You had Nicky Hopkins on the piano. Frampton was on the guitar. The guitar work was a highlight here, but basically just telling this girl, turn on your radio, I'm gone, hear my song, you know. And it ends with the chorus, but he doesn't give you he said, baby, and then he stops. He doesn't say gone. So we're going to finish out the A-side with You're Breaking My Heart. It is notorious for the opening line. You're breaking my heart. You're tearing it apart. So F you. The song was written by Harry about the then recent separation from his wife, Diane. The lyrics contain self-blame for the breakup, as well as several unpleasant diatribes towards his former partner. Biographer Alan Shipton speculated that at least one line was a coded reference to Harry's relationship with his close friend Ringo Starr. So let's try to find that. During recording, Harry began to drink heavily, started to record more experimental and controversial material. Producer Richard Perry urged him to reconsider and try to record something more in the vein of Nilsson Schmilsson, but was overruled. Nilsson wanted to release this track as a single, but it was clearly impractical for the profanity in the lyrics would never be broadcast on mainstream radio. RCA Records was apprehensive about even putting this track on the album, but it did eventually make the final pressing. In Britain, the song was also issued as the B-side of the album's first single, Spaceman, which we're going to get to next. The backing track features George Harrison on slide and a horn section comprising Bobby Keys, Jim Price, and Klaus Vormann. We've also got Frampton on electric guitar, Hopkins on piano, Barry Morgan on drums, while Vormann also played bass guitar. So this is kind of the all-star lineup here on this one. All right, I love that song. I thought that song was great. I thought Harry's voice almost sounded like a little vocal treatment, maybe not, but he sounded really good. Nicky Hopkins piano, Bobby Keys on the saxophone's been a star on the first side of this album so far. But, probably not going to have a chance to get back together with your girl after you write something like that. I didn't look to see if they ever got back together or not. It's not the best start, boys. I'll just say that. Side 2, or the B side in the traditional album, starts out with Spaceman. As a single, went to 23 in the US, 12 in Canada. Explains the desire and downfall of the narrator, who wished to be a spaceman and now wants to go back to Earth, but he's stuck in space. Arranger Paul Buckmaster said that he asked Harry if he could put a string section on the song, and Harry agreed. Buckmaster brought more than strings. He included the medieval instruments, a shawm and a sackbut. I guess that's how you say it. He said that someone named Moxie, quote, the genius of the harmonica in London at the time, played bass harmonica in a chugging rhythm style, part of the rhythm section. This already sounds quite interesting. Let's see what Moxie and the boys have for us. Spaceman, I rather enjoyed that. I thought the arrangement was fantastic. And, this is only 3 years after us landing on the moon, after the U.S. landing on the moon. So I could see why this would be a popular topic. Like, Harry wanted to be the spaceman, but then once he got up there, everybody forgot about him, right? It's great when you're going up and coming down, but no one really cares in between that. Next up, we have the Lottery song. The Lottery song really could be called the Going to Vegas song, right? Because it starts out in the first verse. He's going to go buy the lottery ticket. If they win, then go to Vegas. But then second verse, he could be a plumber that could save up, buy a trailer, go to Vegas. The third one, make a record, sell a lot of records, go to Vegas. But a nice melody in there, a nice chilled out kind of just nice melody and nice piano again. Except we have At My Front Door. This is one of 2 songs not to be written by Harry. Well, the other one he wrote part of it. But this is written by Ewart, Abner, and John Moore, and performed by the Eldorados. It reached number 1 on the U.S. R&B chart and 17 on the U.S. pop chart back in 1955. Lyrically, the song warns other men that if they want to keep their little mama, they need to keep her off my street or she'll end up knocking at my front door, just like she did before. This version is also featured in the 1974 film Son of Dracula and on its soundtrack. Nice electric guitar work on that Chris Spedding and Frampton. Of course, as on all of these songs, you got Harry on electric piano and Hopkins on piano. I think that's what makes the keys stand out on this whole album, but I'll cover that at the very end. But it's just about what I said it was about. The last song kind of leaks into this. They leave it on there. He burps, and then we just go into this song, which is just a nice little rocking song that's basically just talking some trash. And it's a fun song. It's a fun song. Would have been a fun song to perform and to see live. Got 3 songs. So I've got the longest song on this album by far. We got Ambush. All right, Ambush. The song's actually talking about a real ambush, I think. When it was going on at first, I was just in my head, I thought it was a romantic relationship. And, the ambush was kind of a figurative thing of like things went bad, something we didn't see coming. But I think it really is about soldiers, because the lamp that lights the way is a light from yesterday. The drum which leads the way is a sound from yesterday. The road is filled with shadows of a million living leaves. Darkness all around us and not a friend in sight. We sang a song together to help us through the night. The song was sung with spirit, but soft and like a choir. And as the others sang along, our voices lifted higher. We sang until we reached the bridge. We crossed, then saw the wire. But by the time we stopped the song, the enemy opened fire, so I'm not going to sing that song no more. So, yeah, I think it's actually about that. So, like everything else on here, very well done, well produced. The horn arrangements by Jim Price. He also playing the trombone pretty prominently on here and on the trumpet. Of course, Bobby Keys is on the sax. Ringo's on the drums. So, yeah, Frampton's one of 3 guys on the guitar. We got 2 songs left. We'll go with I'd Rather Be Dead. Just a campy song, right? I'd rather be dead. It's just saying, well, you'd rather be dead than do all these things, including wet the bed. And when he can't tie his tie anymore, he's got to be fed. He'd rather be dead. The chorus on here is senior citizens of the Stepney and Penner Choir Club, number 6, in London. So supposedly there's a video of this. So I would like to see that. And Henry Crine on the or Crean on the accordion on here, especially prominently at the start. Okay, we got one song left. And we've got The Most Beautiful World in the World. Okay, The Most Beautiful World in the World with the strings and everything. It seemed like it could have been on a Disney soundtrack from way back when, right? But obviously, The Most Beautiful World in the World, there's only one. So a little campy as well. Not bad. I mean, his vocal performance is pretty good. He's kind of singing in maybe a little bit different voice. And at the end, he's on here with Richard Perry. So on, folks. Goodbye, Harry. See you next album, Richard. Bye-bye. So not sure I love the last two songs on here, but we'll get to that. Now we'll go to my favorite tracks. Honorable mention, the first two, Take 54 and Remember, in parentheses, Christmas, and At My Front Door. Faves are going to be You're Breaking My Heart and Spaceman. They're back-to-back on here in the middle. And one of them finished out side A in the traditional album, and one of them started side B, so they definitely sequenced that one right. Now we'll get to my overall score. It's obviously not as good as Nilsson, Schmilsson, but a lot of the critics did not like this. I think I like it better than a lot of the critics did, although it does have some weaknesses. It's 11 songs. If it was like 9 or even 8, you could have pulled off 8, but it's not a very long album, so maybe 9. It probably would have been better, but I do admire the fact they didn't try to just like capture lightning in a bottle twice, right? He did his own thing. Now maybe the drinking had something to do with that. But overall, I'm going to be at a 7.25 on this one. So let me know what you think of this album below. What else should I check out from Harry? Thanks again to Carl for bringing this one. Until next time, guys, I will see ya.